And right now, global leaders are gathering in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Forum's annual meeting. President Trump is expected to arrive tomorrow as his threat to take Greenland hangs over European leaders. For more on the existing rift between the White House and Europe over Greenland's future, we're joined once again in studio by CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams. Holly, good morning. What is the latest on this topic?
Good morning, Errol. Well, some in Europe call the president's threats against American allies economic blackmail. The Trump administration, though, claims it needs to take over Greenland because of Russian and Chinese threats in the Arctic.
We have to have it.
President Trump isn't backing down on his push to secure Greenland for the US. It's a message he'll likely take to Europe tomorrow at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
I've done more than any other American president for NATO by far. And we'll see how that goes. But Greenland is very important.
The truth is that America's NATO allies in Europe are angry and shocked.
We see this as unnecessary and irresponsible.
It is not easy when we wake up every morning to new threats.
Overnight, President Trump posted this image on social media. American diplomacy as we've never seen it before. In a telephone interview with NBC News Monday, President Trump said he would 100% follow through on threats to slap extra tariffs on 8 European nations next month, unless a deal is reached to sell the Arctic island to the US. When asked if he'd use force to seize Greenland, Trump responded, no comment. Speaking in Switzerland, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent cautioned Europe against retaliating with tariffs against the US, as some countries have suggested.
I think it would be very unwise.
This comes after an extraordinary text exchange between President Trump and Norway's Prime Minister over the weekend, in which Trump said he no longer has an obligation to think purely of peace, since he wasn't awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, falsely claiming the Norwegian government is responsible for choosing the recipients. Trump denied yesterday that his stance on Greenland is tied to that award.
No, I don't care about the Nobel Prize. If anybody thinks that Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize, they're just kidding.
The president's posts on Truth Social continued last night, including what appear to be text messages from world leaders like French President Emmanuel Macron, who apparently told Trump point blank, "I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland." The president also posted this doctored image, what appears to be a real Oval Office meeting with European leaders from back in August, with a fake map of Canada and Greenland covered in the American flag. It's all setting the stage for an interesting meeting in Davos tomorrow at the World Economic Forum. And Errol, it is perhaps ironic that the motto for this year's event is, quote, "a spirit of dialogue."
A spirit of dialogue, very timely. And as we saw there, Holly, what approach might we see European leaders take in dealing with Mr. Trump? We know that you've been reporting on a sense of alarm, a sense that many of them have felt insulted by his position, but they all know that Mr. Trump responds best to flattery. We saw a hint of that in the message from Emmanuel Macron. So how will they deal with him?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, you know, they may want to use very harsh words, harsher than the ones we've already heard, and we've seen some pretty strong words. They may want to retaliate with tariffs against the US. There's been some discussion around that. But yeah, they have to tread carefully because after all, President Trump is still the leader of the free world. The US is still the most powerful country on earth, and European security depends on the US. So as a reference for how European leaders might handle this, I think we can look at the times when President Trump has brought up his idea of a Ukrainian peace deal that involves handing over territory to Russia and maybe security guarantees that don't go far enough for Ukraine. And what we've seen then is European leaders, as you say, kind of flattering President Trump and then gently kind of nudging him in the opposite direction, trying to explain why maybe his concept doesn't quite work. This one is tricky, though, because European leaders are trying to pull off kind of a difficult thing. Yeah. On the one hand, they don't want to anger President Trump, but on the other hand, they really do not want to, sell Greenland to him. I think the issue is however this plays out, this whole episode has eroded trust amongst some of America's most important allies.
And that could have some lasting effects in and of itself. Holly Williams, always great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.